Does it make sense for a single person to buy a home? My name's Tony Angelos. I'm a real estate broker in Chicago, and I work with a lot of single people. I'm gonna dig into this right now. Do me a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get right into it. Look, I get it. Today's interest rates are really high, our prices are really high. Looking at the monthly payments, especially in Chicago, which has high property taxes, could feel very daunting, especially for a single individual. So I'm gonna break down 5 things that you can do that can help guide you on this decision for whether or not it makes sense for you. So number 1, follow along with me now. Number 1 is considering your long-term goals. Long-term, ooh, my handwriting is bad. Goals. Did a child write that or did I? I don't know. So consider your long-term goals. What do I mean by that? Are you planning on living here for a long time? Are you planning on using this as a rental in the future? These things are going to impact whether or not it makes sense for you. My first place that I bought, I had every intention to use as a rental, and I knew that I could have rented it that day and had a positive cash flow. So 3 years later when I moved out, it made perfect sense for me to keep it, use it as a rental, and move on to my next purchase. Moving on to number 2, let's talk about your financial stability. Let's write that down here. Financial stability. Oh my God, I need to go to a writing class. Woo! I got that right, I spelled that right. Financial stability. Okay, what do I mean by this? Well, are you living paycheck to paycheck, or have you been saving up your money? Have you been increasing your earnings? Has your job been going well? And are you just ready to be done with living with a roommate? Well, buying a place could be a good option, but you don't necessarily have to buy a place and have no roommates. A very popular method of purchasing real estate for young people is called house hacking. House hacking is when you buy a place and you rent out either the other bedrooms, or if you could buy a multi-unit building, the other units of the building to different people. And this allows you to kind of have a little bit of the best of both worlds. Yeah, theoretically, technically you are the homeowner. You might have roommates still, but that's not necessarily the end of the world if it allows you to reduce your living expenses even more, because housing is most people's #1 expense. And in some really great instances, it allows you to buy a multi-unit building, renting out the other apartments to reduce your total monthly costs, and in turn, reducing your monthly payment that you pay out of your own pocket for housing. And at the same time, you still get all the benefits. You can renovate it the way that you want it to. You can put your own paint colors on the wall that you like and do what you want with it. So that's number 2, financial stability. Moving on to number 3, let's go down here. What does your lifestyle look like? One of the things I talk to my clients about every time I start working with somebody new is, what does your life look like? For some people, maybe they move around a lot. In that case, maybe renting is right for you. If you're a traveling nurse or somebody who's just constantly on the move, that's fine. Buying a place might not make financial sense for you because the cost of acquisition is kind of a lot. So for some, the freedom of renting, the freedom that comes along with renting, is just right for you at this point in your time. So let's move on a little bit. Let's go down to number 4. Number 4, I would encourage you to think about what your responsibility, there we go. Woo, God, I'm bad. Responsibility looks like as a homeowner. So now here in Chicago, a really common first-time home would be a condo. Condos are super low maintenance. In my previous condo building, the management office and the maintenance department did everything, so it was totally hands-off. But if you're buying a house, or if you're buying something that's in a low maintenance building, meaning that you're responsible for a lot of things like your hot water heater, your furnace, etc., you need to be prepared to take care of the maintenance on this. Now, I will say, a lot of people say like, oh, well, I'll just have my landlord take care of it. What do you do when something breaks? You call your landlord. What does your landlord do? They call a handyman. So by being a homeowner, if your concern is the maintenance associated with being a homeowner, you're just removing the middleman. You're still calling the handyman to come get it anyways. Now you just have to know the handyman. And most realtors will give you a list, or at least have a database or a source of good references for different and various trades that you'll need as a homeowner. A lot of my clients are property investors, so I have a complete sheet that I give to all my clients here of electricians, plumbers, handyman, etc., for whatever they might need along the way for owning a home. And people do stuff to homes. You know, you can't think that you're going to buy a home, live in it for 30 years, and you're never going to touch anything, because that's just not going to happen. Tastes change, your financial situation will change, and you'll want to do stuff, and it's important to have a roster of good people that you could call on. And by the way, it's 2023, you could just Google it. So to round that out, are you ready for the responsibility of being a homeowner? And it's really not that much. Okay, lastly, the one thing that I would recommend that you think about is, what do your future plans look like?
Artlist.io.
So I'm in my late 20s. A lot of the people that I work with are either in their late 20s or early 30s, and they're typically in this phase right before or about when they're about to start a family. What does that look like for you? So I'm gonna underline that right there. What does that look like for you? Are you engaged, trying to buy a one-bedroom apartment, knowing full well that your significant other is going to want to have kids right after the marriage in a year? Well, don't buy that one bedroom. You know, it's important to think about where you're going to be 2 to 3 years from now, and weigh that into your decision on how you're going to buy and if you're going to buy. You know, is your fiance's family from like New York, and New York people just hate Chicago so much, so they would never let them live here and raise their grandchildren here. So you know you're going to be moving to New York. Don't buy in Chicago. It's pretty fucking simple. Oh, can I say that on YouTube? I don't even know. So if you think that your future plans over the next 2 to 3 years are going to remain pretty much the same, well then yeah, I think it might make sense. And do you think that you're going to be in the same place for the next 2 to 3 years? Well then yeah, it might make sense. If this is making sense to you, do me a favor, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. One of the really cool things about being a homeowner, and I've noticed this with a lot of people, myself included, is that the cost really remains the same. Unless you're in an HOA, where HOA dues are really going up because it's mismanaged or something like that, which does happen for sure, your costs tend to stay pretty much the same. Yeah, property taxes increase, but if my property taxes go from $2,500 a year to $2,800 a year, well, it's $300 divided by 12, so it's not that much of a change in my monthly payment. You know what I'm saying? But let me get to the point though. If right now you can afford the monthly payments of living by yourself, then you should absolutely go for it. Because there's a good chance that somewhere along the line you're gonna get into a relationship, somebody might come and live with you, and that cost is gonna be split. Or there's a good chance that your earnings will increase over time, and that monthly payment that you've been paying, maybe it's 30% of your gross income, well then maybe it's been shrinking to 25%, 20%, and you've lived there for 5 to 10 years, and you're just raking in the money.